Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Viz-55. It's a tier 10 Czechoslovakian heavy tank. It's located on the north spawn of Prokhorovka under the commands of Konopnik. Game on. 2 marks on the barrel, working on his third. Let's see how he gets on this heavy tank. Now, it's a project from the 1950s and 60s. And well, it was built according to Soviet and Czech doctrines. Effectively, they cancelled the project because they decided to go with the Warsaw Pact tanks, effectively the Russian tanks, or Russian design tanks, Soviet tanks, instead of actually building their own. Okay, he's went right up to the centre. Puts 1 round into the E100. He's got 2 shots, fires the second one in, gets a pen on that too. So he's already got over 1,000 hit points. Now it's a 13cm gun, capable of 490 alpha and penetrating 260mm with standard ammo, but because he's working up to get his third mark, he has to fire premium to make sure that every shot counts. Nope, didn't get it there. He was aiming for the optical. You can see that the premium rounds actually got the same 490 alpha, but they've got 306 instead of 260. 306 mils of penetration. It's a 2-shot autoloader with 2 seconds between each shot. The standard reload time is 29.29 seconds. First shot goes in. Oh, he actually received a shot from the hill there. You can see the reload time for Konopnik is 19.14. So he's knocked 2 seconds off the reload. And remember, his crew is going to be pretty good by now. 60 TP, go for the top. No, didn't get the cupola, but he's going to do another try. And no, he just got spotting off that one. So he is receiving shots from the hill, but there's only a Barask over there at the moment, and he's fairly low down. So he's working this corner and using the dip right next door to the line. Side of the turret on 60 TP. Both shots go in. So another 967 hit points, now up to 2.5k. The 277's trying to crowd in on his spot there. And the 277 said he would pull back, but then he goes and pulls forward again. Not very healthy. Oh, took a big clobber there from the E100, and yes, there is an enemy tank. It's an Object 140 up on the hill. Now the big danger for the 277 there is that. Yep, Arty is on the enemy team. It's a 212A. He just got his first kill. And the reason actually the danger, because when you go up like that, although you've got the wagon there to protect you, you are kind of stationary, and that makes you an easy target for the Arty. So you don't want to stay in the same spot all the time, because otherwise that 212A is going to take advantage. There's another Arty round going in there. Missed us. Okay, T-44. Recently stated it's the most underrated tank from World War II. There's a video from Bovington Tank Museum if you want to watch that one. It's pointed out that it's actually, for a brief moment, the T-44 was probably the best tank that the Russians had. Probably the best tank of the war as far as they were concerned. But of course they didn't go ahead and mass produce it because they decided to produce the T-34-85 instead. Missed out on an opportunity there. The T-34-85 is a good tank, but the argument was that in actual fact T-44s would have made a much better tank than the T-34-85 because it was a much more modern tank. Actually had some of the features of the early T-54. Ooh, good shot, and another one. So another 912 hit points, and he got some more spotting assistance. Up to 4,300 now. Combined damages shooting up. Look at that. He's getting loads and loads of spotting. Combined damages now over to over 6,000. Oh look, it's just shooting up the spotting assist. Masses of spotting assist there, and he's decided, since there's only 3 enemies left and one of those is up on top of the hill, he's going to push forward. And I think he's going after the one on the hill. There he is, he's right at the back. It's a Skoda. Dialing in, no, get the side of him now. Oh, it didn't go through the brows. Yes, the unusual thing about this tank, it's got those brows which are actually spaced armour. Makes it really difficult to pen, but he did get hit in the tracks there by the Skoda, who's still got another shot, but he just got rammed by our Wizzy 111 Model 14. He's on fire, and this will be a kill shot. Yes! And potentially a high caliber for 20%. There's still one enemy tank outstanding. It's the TNHT Viz 51, tier 9. And he's just got wiped out, so the game is over. And it was a pretty dented Viz 55. I hope you found that battle as exciting as I did. It certainly was a lot of damage going in there by Konopnik. He was also making it kind of mechanical, in fact, that the mounting was actually racking up each time going up to take his shots and then pull back again. He managed to get his 3rd mark of excellence in this game. Congratulations. He also got a 2nd class tanker for the game. I can't believe that much damage is only a 2nd class. Wow. He also got a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage. He spotted a great deal more than that. A fire throw effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. And a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 7. He also did pick up the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game at that one. 20% of the enemy hit pool as well. Let's have a look at the win rate. Look at 3,285. So it was Super Unicum, but it's not a very high one. So I presume that to get an ace tanker, you really have to do a lot of damage in the Viz 55. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, he did get the highest damage in the game. He got 4,677. That was at least 20%. In fact, that last shot he fired, the one that killed the Skoda T56, was the one that tipped him over the balance into the 20% mark. The 2nd highest damage in the game went to the 121B on his team with 3,063. And the 3rd highest damage went to the T44 on his team with 2,827. When it came to kills, it was that T44 who did the best with 4 kills. 3 kills went to the AMX 5100 on his team, and also to the enemy Arty, the 212A, and we saw one of those kills actually come in on the 277, who made a big boo-boo by sticking in the same spot. Well, that's what we Arty players like. We like tanks who stay in the same place. It just makes it so much easier to kill them. And unfortunately, Konopnik only got the 1 kill out of that one. So he was way down, effectively in joint 3rd place, joint 4th place on kills. But when it came to base XP, he's in 2nd place because the ELC Evan 90, who's doing a lot of spotting, look at that, 5,326. Not the sort of spotting you get from the base man from hell, where he scores 20k spotting, which is absolutely ridiculous, but can be done. He has done it. No, it wasn't that sort of level. He did do a high amount of spotting, which is why he overtook Konopnik on base XP. Konopnik managed 2nd highest with 1,094, and they were the only 2 players who managed to get over 1,000, with the T44 coming in with 970. He fired 22 rounds in that game. The amount of shells you actually carry, well, I can't actually remember what it is. I'll have to look it up actually. 22 rounds fired, 14 direct hits on the enemy and 10 penetrations. He did miss a few rounds. 4,677 hit points of damage, or most of which was at close range. 1,272 at long range. 6 hits received from the enemy, only 1 of which actually penetrated. 5 non-penetrations, most of those actually hit the tracks of the vehicle. You also received 1 hit by way of splash damage. That was from the enemy 212A, who was trying to get him. 1,850 hit points of damage blocked by armor. 5 enemy vehicles were damaged. 1 was killed. That was the Skoda right at the end. 2,051 hit points of spotting assist. And a lot of that came when he killed the last tank up on the rise and started pushing forward, because at that point he was actually helping his teammates to see where the enemy tanks were, and they were taking full advantage. 68,519 credits on a premium account. But of course he was firing premium ammo, and after repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, he actually made a loss of 78,454 credits, but he won't need to fire premium ammo now, or at least he can load it up with standard ammo as well as premium, because of course now he has his third mark. He only needs to fire the premium ammo when you're marking it. You don't need it afterwards. 1,641 XP. And no multipliers, so that's all the experience points he took away. Let's have a quick look at the armor profile for this beast. Okay, remember this is a tank from the 1950s, 60s. You can see those brows, which actually act as spaced armor around the turret itself, at the base of the turret. And they're very effective at stopping heat rounds. And you can see there's even a kind of spaced armor arrangement on the mantlet as well, where it's very, very strong armor there. 300 millimeters on that spot on the turret. The upper plate is 115, coming out at 231. There's the driver's viewports. The lower plate is 140. There's a section there that's 140, which is slightly less angled, so the penetration goes, or the effective armor goes down, because it's much higher down here at the bottom. At the sides of the vehicle, you can see you can get a shell in. It's in 90 millimeters of impacted armor, but 120 millimeters. So most tier 10 tanks or tier 9 should be able to penetrate a vehicle like this if they can get it through the sides or angle it. You can see there's a couple of cupolas, which is one of the spots that his opponents were actually going for, especially that E100 was trying to plonk rounds in, and he did get one which carved its way straight through that cupola. 200 millimeters effective, 206 or thereabouts. So yes, they are vulnerable to E100s. That cupola is a lot more difficult to hit. The one at the back, that's 170 millimeters to pen. I think most players, if they're going to aim, they'll aim for this one. It's much easier to go for. And there is a little viewport there. I think that's for the gunner. And that's only 180 millimeters, but comes out at 198 or just 200. So yes, that's a penetrable spot. But of course, it's very difficult to hit it because those brows get in the way. The engine deck is 30 millimeters, coming out 35, so you should be able to land an Arty round on top of this vehicle and pen it, because again, you can see here 40 millimeters, 52, it's coming out around 100. The closer you get to the front of the vehicle, the armor actually gets stronger, but at the rear, it's a lot easier. So if you're an Arty player, you should be aiming for the top of the turret at the back, and if you get the engine deck, you should be able to get straight through that, no problem. Okay, let's have a quick look at the live. Again, it's showing that the hull is fairly weak. 8 degrees gun depression in this tank. So you can, if you can go hull down, by all means do so. And you can see in a hull down position here, you would ricochet the upper plate. You don't want anyone to touch your lower plate, but you should be able to ricochet the upper plate. And then, of course, you've got the strength of the turret working in your favor with the brows blocking the shots. And they would actually technically block the cupola at the same time. But if we get the angle up again and we go back to the normal look, there we go. And you can see that angling the turret, well, will give you more strength at the rear of the turret, and the brows would help to a certain extent. They're giving you effectively about 280 armor. But of course, that weak spot is actually shooting through the tracks or shooting into the side of the vehicle, where it's only 120 millimeters. And although you get some help from the angling on the front plate and even from the lower plate for that matter, if the enemy's smart, they'll try and put a shell straight through there, and then they'll get a nice little pen. I'd love to show you the modules, but I'm afraid Wargaming have not shared them with anyone. So all we can tell is that that will more than likely be the commander's hatch. That's probably the loader's hatch, and that's probably the gunner's view sight. So we know that the gunner is probably sitting directly in front of the commander, and we can tell that the driver is definitely in the center of the front of the vehicle. So he's right up front. We can't tell where the ammo racks are, but I would more than likely say that there was probably an ammo rack here in the back of the turret, the ready rack. 13 centimeter shells, remember, so they're very big, and they probably need to be manhandled to get into the breach. And of course, it's got a rear engine, so all we can tell is there is an engine in there, but we can't tell where the fuel tanks are. So that's all I can tell you about the Biz 55. Other than that, it's actually a very, very good tank. with, as they say, an insane burst damage of 980 hit points if you get an average roll. And that means that after a number of shots, you've racked up thousands and thousands of hit points of damage if you get the pens, if you put the shells in the right spot. And with the pen that you get from the APCR shells, or from the premium shells rather to say, you do get a very good chance of racking up lots of damage fairly quickly. But of course it's at the top tier, it's a tier 10, you've got to work your way up there, but once you get there, it's very satisfying, and you get battles like Knopnik just managed to get in this beast. I hope you enjoyed that game. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and congratulations to Knopnik for getting his 3rd mark of excellence.